Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Alan Joins, Mayor of Winston-Salem, and it's a great day to be elected official here in Winston-Salem as we're dedicating this wonderful new fire station here and part of the city family, fire station number 13, but it's the 20th, I guess, chief of our stations in the city. We're joined today with Councilmember John Larson, in whose ward we're in, Councilmember Jeff McIntosh, Councilmember Annette Scipio, and Councilmember Kevin Mundy. And we're delighted to have our Congresswoman Virginia Foxx with us. I'm going to ask Virginia to say a couple of words in just a minute there. But again, this station was made possible by the 2018 bond issue that the voters of Winston-Salem approved, and we're very grateful for the citizens giving the confidence to us to be able to do projects such as this for the citizens. And we'll do a great job because the chief will sure tell you that we had a hole sort of in our response areas. We couldn't make those 4-minute responses to the fire department's goal. So this station is very strategically located, will help address that issue there. It's a very, Chief will talk about it, I believe, but it's a very dynamic station with lots of amenities and a large meeting facility that will be available to the good folks at Bethel Church over here. And we greatly appreciate the church in working with us and making available this land to us. So we're here today to celebrate this wonderful station. I'm going to ask Councilmember John Larson, who is the council member for this ward, to come forth and make a couple of statements.
Thank you, Mary Ellen, and good afternoon on this day, this beautiful day the Lord has given us. In 1784, January 30th, people were optimistic about what was going to happen in Winston-Salem, or Salem at the time. The American Revolution was over, and they began to gather materials on Salem Square to build the Single Sisters House, and things were looking really good in the town of Salem. They went to sleep confident in the future of the town. At 3 o'clock in the morning, they were woken by the sound of bells and alarms, people yelling and screaming about a fire at the tavern. And the requirement in the city was that everybody have a fire bucket. And in a case like this, everybody grabbed a fire bucket and ran down to the square, basically to the cistern, and began to form a fire line to try to put the fire out. Putting fire buckets and water from the fire buckets on the third floor roof, the fire got up to the roof. It was just about impossible. And soon, within an hour and a half, the tavern had been turned to ashes. Fortunately, everybody got out. Some strangers that were sleeping in the tavern that night were from Wilkes County, and they managed to get the owners of the tavern, or the managers of the tavern, out, who were still sleeping. So everybody, fortunately, there was no wind, and the fire did not spread, and they managed to save the barns and the buildings around the tavern, but they could not save the building itself. The following month, a pledging was made by the citizens of the town to buy some fire equipment. They wanted to buy a couple fire pumpers, and so they asked the citizens to pitch in, which is exactly what we did, of course, in 2018 with this fire station. We asked the citizens to pitch in and contribute to the purchase of some equipment. They bought the hardware, the brass fittings from Germany that arrived in the following year, and with the work of the craftsmen, the woodworkers and the blacksmiths, they built 2 fire engines which had the ability to pump water up onto the roof of every building in Salem, including hitting the ball at the top of Home Church, which was sort of the test that they had. And we had then our first really organized fire department in 1785 to produce it. The way that the way the firefighting was done in the 18th and 19th century was largely with this device here. This was all they had, a series of fire buckets, and even when the firefighting pumps were, they had to take the water in and put it in the firefighting pumps. So the water lines, the fire lines, were still used to keep the water feeding into the various pumping mechanisms. So as we open up this station, which is a product of the citizens of Winston-Salem, who are to be thankful for their vision of protecting and keeping us on the cutting edge of firefighting in this country, I want to present this bucket to Chief Mayo. Is he here? Yeah, right there. Chief Mayo, which will be a reminder of the contrast of how, as we toured the building today, you'll get to see how far we've come. from the one little buckets. And
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. We'll put it on display.
thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Larson. That was a fascinating story of how we got started in the firefighting business here. Invite any of our council members that would like to make comments. Everybody's good? No, that's good. Okay. Well, let me bring forth our Congresswoman, who's represented the 5th District for a long time here in North Carolina, Congresswoman Virginia Fox.
Okay, yeah. Well, following Councilman Larson is a tough thing to do. And what a wonderful story to tell as an opening for this new fire department. And it is a testament to the people of this area that they have always understood the need to work together to protect each other. And I think that's obviously the lesson there. And to have that fire bucket as an inspiration to everybody, I think is terrific. So I thank you for doing that. Mayor Mike Finley was telling me, I said, so this is brand new in the district? And he said, yes, it's cutting down the amount of time that the trucks can get into our community. And he's a member of Bethel Church, and so I heard a little bit about that from Mike, and I'm glad to see him here, even though he's retired. He's still coming out to community meetings, and I think that's fantastic. So I thank you for giving me a chance to say thank you to the people of Winston-Salem for allowing me to serve you for many years. And this is the first time I've come to a hose event like this, and so I love having new experiences, and this is a great one for me, and it is a beautiful day, and I thank you and congratulate the fire department, and I'm so glad I heard that story today. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Thank you for what you do for our community. Now my pleasure to bring up our fire chief, Chief Trey Mayo, who's going to make some comments, and then we'll go from there. Chief.
Good morning, and happy International Firefighters Day. May the 4th coincides with the martyrdom of St. Florian, who was the patron saint of firefighters. I was going to tell that story, but Frank Elliott told me we didn't have time. So,
It's also the National Day of Prayer.
Also the National Day of Prayer. Mayor Joins, thank you for being here, as well as Council Members Larson, Scipio, McIntosh, and Monday. We appreciate it. Representative Fox, it's good to see you. And I also heard from Councilmember Taylor last night, who chairs our Public Safety Committee. He sent his regards this morning and regretted that he could not be here, as well as Assistant City Manager Patrice Toney, who oversees fire, police, and emergency management. She was not feeling well this morning and decided she better stay home, so we missed both of those. Thanks to Councilmember John Larson, City Manager Lee Garrity, I know he's here, there he is, and his staff for supporting this project's inclusion in the 2018 bond package, as Mayor Joins alluded to earlier, to the City Council for approving it, and particularly to the voters for agreeing to pay for it. There is a list of people without whose participation we would not be standing here today. Assistant Chief of Logistics Darrell Sawyer and Battalion Chief Ricky McCutcheon, they are standing over here somewhere. This fire station is little more than a big house, and for 30 years of a firefighter's career, this house is their home. And all of us can relate to the fact that it's those little things that make a house a home. And Chiefs Sawyer and McCutcheon have been hard at it for months, taking care of all of those little things. We appreciate that. Director of Engineering Robert Presswood is here somewhere. I saw him earlier. Thank you, Robert. Architect Perry Peterson designed this facility. Wilbur Holden from Holden Construction is here. Frank Elliott and his capable team in the city's marketing and communications department, and particularly the crews who are assigned here on Engine 13, Air Resource 1, and Safety 7, who have worked tirelessly with Chiefs Sawyer and McCutcheon to get this building outfitted and operational. If you're assigned here, if you would raise your hand so the neighbors can see who their community firefighters are. Air Resource One, which is a mobile breathing air and firefighter support unit that is assigned here, and Safety 7, one of our on-duty safety officers. They are not here this morning. They're up at King doing some training, so unfortunately they are not able to participate in the ceremony. Retired Assistant Fire Chief of Logistics, Harry Brown, is here. Harry worked on the early phases of the design of this building before he checked out, and we know you're enjoying your retirement. Thank you for coming back. And of course, we never can overlook community relations specialist Ms. Tabitha Childress, who always finds a way to slip off when she knows I'm going to recognize her. But she makes sure the rest of us are where we are, when we're supposed to be there, and that we're wearing the right things. And a lot of things happen around here because of her attention to oversight, attention to detail and oversight, and we appreciate that. We have some members from the Bethel United Methodist Church, our next door neighbor here. We appreciate you all coming this morning. Our first point of contact with the church was Ron Scott, and Ron unfortunately couldn't join us this morning, but to the church members, I don't have to tell you all this, but you could not ask for a better liaison than Ron Scott. He was delightful to work for, as was everybody in the church. I grew up in the Methodist Church, and if you all know anything about the Methodists, they keep a fresh face in the pulpit on the regular. And this project has been underway from discussion to now for about 4 years, and we've been through 3 preachers next door. But Lynn Caldwell is here. She is a former pastor next door. We appreciate you coming back. Lisa Tanico was the prior preacher next door, and both of them were unwavering in their support of this project and supporting this critical piece of public safety infrastructure being next door. And now we have Reverend Angela Toth, who is not here this morning, but we look forward to being her neighbor as long as the bishop will leave her alone. We broke ground on this project. Tomorrow would be 2 years ago today, and on that day I asked you to come back and join us for this event 14 months later. My timeline was a little bit optimistic. I'm going to do like everybody else and use the same old lame excuse and blame it on COVID. But nevertheless, here we are. This facility is the first new fire station constructed in the city of Winston-Salem since 2013. It is the first 3-bay fire station built since 2004, and it is the only infield fire station the city of Winston-Salem has ever built. It will allow us, and it has, closed a gap in our coverage network that has experienced pretty significant growth over recent years. It'll add robustness to fire services west of Peters Creek Parkway and along the Stratford Road corridor south of Silas Creek Parkway. And when justifying the inclusion of this project in the 2018 bond package, we forecast that Engine 13 would become the 6th busiest engine in the city, and as of Tuesday afternoon, it was tied for 5th. This station is designed to be expandable for yet determined needs decades into the future. Fire Station 13 features female-friendly accommodations, a meeting and training space that you'll get to tour, 1,500 square feet up on the front of the building. This apparatus room looks cavernous when you walk in there. But it gives us the ability to park 2 pumpers, nose to tail, but operationally it gives us the ability to flex based on, high demand situations that we cannot predict, typically that result from natural and man-made disasters. Most critically, this is the first fire station in the city where the building's design addresses the proliferation of cancer among firefighters. You'll see the spaces over on this side of the building when you go in for the tour. But there are spaces for both personnel and gear decontamination in the vein of sort of like a commercial laundromat and car wash. You kind of go in on this end dirty and you come out on the other end clean, and that is separated from the the living spaces of the fire station by the apparatus room over on this side of the station. So in addition to that, up on the front, they're on the back, I'm sorry. There's office space in there for the safety officer who is assigned here, and also for 2 members of our behavioral evaluation and response team, and that team goes in service on May 15th. And I think I saw, yes, Kristen Ryan is here. She is the Bear Team Director. So 2 of her team members will be assigned here. And let's see, Mayor, I believe I'm going to turn it back over to you. Thank you all again for coming today, and may the 4th be with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. I also want to recognize our police chief, William Penn, is here, and members of his staff. Obviously, it's a partnership with public safety. So what we're going to do in just a moment, Councilmember Larson and I are going to participate in the decoupling of the hose, which is a tradition in the fire service in terms of opening a new station. After that, I would ask you to kind of clear this area right here, because we're going to bring engine 13 right in here as kind of the official occupancy of the facility. Afterwards, please feel free to tour the facility. It's a wonderful facility. There's some refreshments in the meeting area over here, along with some challenge coins, basically, that will give you a real commemoration of today's event. So thank you very much.